There is a chilling truth that many do not want to hear, but it must be spoken. Evil walks among us, not as horned creatures or mythical beasts, but as people who wear the mask of kindness, who shake your hand while plotting your downfall, who smile in your presence but sharpen their tongues behind your back. These are not just difficult people. These are not just flawed people. These are evil people. And God wants you to discern them, to stay away from them, and to protect your soul from their darkness. Hear this clearly. Not everyone around you is sent by God. Some are sent to destroy you, to distract you, and to drain the very light God has placed within you. And God, in His infinite wisdom, has not left you without signs. He reveals them to you. He whispers warnings to your spirit. And if you ignore those signs, you welcome trouble into your life. If you silence that still voice in your soul, you will suffer under the weight of relationships that God never meant for you to carry. But evil is real. It is not just an idea, a story, or a metaphor. It is a spiritual disease, a corruption of the heart that poisons everything it touches. It can live in a friend, a co-worker, a leader, or even a family member. And God commands us to guard our hearts, because the heart is the wellspring of life. If you allow evil people to plant seeds in your life, they will choke your joy, rob your peace, and dismantle your destiny piece by piece. God does not want His people to walk blind. He gives you spiritual sight to see beyond the words, beyond the charm, and beyond the mask. Listen now, because what I'm about to say may convict you. It may stir something in you. It may bring faces to your mind, memories to your heart, and clarity to your confusion. The first sign of an evil person is deception. They are not what they seem. They speak well, but their heart is full of manipulation. They act as if they care, but their loyalty is paper thin. God warns us, by their fruits you will know them. Not their words, not their flattery, not their status, but their fruits. Look at the pattern. Look at the wake of confusion they leave. Look at the division they create. Where there is constant drama, backbiting, slander, and unrest, know that evil is nearby. The second sign is that they feed on your weakness. They are energized not by your strength, but by your vulnerability. When you are hurting, they pretend to comfort, but in truth, they collect information to use against you. When you confide in them, they remember your pain, not to heal you, but to control you. Evil people do not support your healing. They depend on your brokenness. God called you to be wise. Do not cast your pearls before swine. Do not share your wounds with those who rejoice at your scars. The people of God must be bold enough to walk away from those who feast on their sorrow. Evil people carry a spirit of accusation. They will always find a way to blame others and never take responsibility. They lie easily. They twist facts. They rewrite history. And when God begins to lift you up, they cannot stand it. Their envy is disguised as advice. Their jealousy is masked as concern. But God sees it all. God reveals the heart. And He shows you that some of the people you call friends are nothing more than enemies in disguise. When God starts to elevate you, He will also expose who cannot go with you. The fourth sign is control. Evil people hate your independence. They hate when you think for yourself, pray for yourself, and make decisions that are not filtered through their approval. God gives freedom. Evil imposes control. When someone always needs to be in charge of your thoughts, your actions, and your emotions, that is not love. That is bondage. And God did not call you to live under the grip of someone else's control. He calls you to stand firm, to be free in your mind, and to let no man dominate your soul. They lack empathy. Their hearts are cold. When you suffer, they do not feel it. When you cry, they offer no comfort. Evil people are emotionally barren. They see your pain, but feel no urge to help. They hear your cries, but remain unmoved. And yet they expect you to be present when they are in need. God shows us through this lack of empathy that the spirit within them is not aligned with His. Because those who walk with God are full of compassion, mercy, and genuine care, but those who are far from Him, those who are swallowed by evil, are numb to the suffering of others. There's another sign, perhaps the most chilling of them all. Evil people are masters of division. They plant seeds of discord. They thrive in confusion. They play both sides, stir up strife, and then sit back and watch the destruction. God is not the author of confusion. Evil is. So when your life is filled with constant emotional chaos, misunderstandings, betrayals, and silent wars, ask yourself, who have I allowed into my circle? Who have I trusted that God warned me about? God is a God of peace. Evil disrupts that peace. It creates storms in your spirit. And sometimes the only way to calm the storm is to remove the person who is stirring the waves. They are relentless in their manipulation. They gaslight you. They make you question your memory, your reality, and even your sanity. They will sin against you and then make you apologize. They will hurt you and then play the victim. Evil twists the truth until you no longer know who you are. And if you stay in the presence of evil long enough, it will convince you that you are the problem. But God says otherwise. God calls you to walk in truth. He calls you to open your eyes and see that the enemy does not always come with a sword. Sometimes he comes with a smile. And still, another mark of evil is arrogance. Pride is the language of the wicked. They will not bend. They will not apologize. They see themselves as superior, and they mask their pride in false humility. God resists the proud. He warns us over and over that pride goes before destruction, but evil clings to pride like armor. They will never admit fault, never ask for forgiveness, and never consider that they might be wrong. They worship their own ego, and in doing so, they turn away from the voice of God. Do not link your soul with the arrogant, for pride will lead you to ruin. Evil people do not change, not because they cannot, but because they refuse to. They are given chances, warnings, and grace, but instead of repenting, they double down. Instead of changing, they disguise. God is patient, but He is not blind. He gives time to turn, but He will not allow evil to reign forever. And when you keep holding on to someone God is trying to remove, you delay your own peace, your own healing, and your own blessing. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is to walk away from someone you once loved, knowing that God is calling you higher. They hate the truth. The moment you speak the truth, they grow angry. They shut you down, twist your words, or try to silence your voice. Why? Because truth exposes evil. It burns it. It tears away the mask. It reveals what they try so hard to hide. And so they cannot stand those who walk in truth. But you must never be afraid to speak it. God did not call you to be silent in the face of evil. He called you to be bold, to shine, to stand firm, even when your voice shakes. They can speak about God, quote scriptures, wear the garments of faith, but there is no light in them, because true closeness to God produces humility, love, patience, and righteousness. But evil cloaks itself in religion to appear clean on the outside while remaining corrupt on the inside. God is not fooled, and He does not want His children to be fooled either. They can quote sacred texts, but their hearts are far from God. They may bow, but their soul stands tall in rebellion. Evil people wear the cloak of righteousness while their intentions drip with poison. God is not deceived by outward displays. He searches the hearts. He discerns the motives. And He reveals in time the true face behind the mask. It is not enough to appear holy. God demands sincerity. Evil imitates devotion, but flees from true submission. You see, evil people fear being exposed because truth is their greatest enemy. But God, in His mercy, allows their masks to slip when your heart is ready to see. And when you do see, when the veil is lifted and the truth is undeniable, you must not hesitate. You must not second guess what God is revealing. Evil thrives in delay. It thrives in your uncertainty, in your pity, in your tendency to forgive what God is trying to remove. There are some people in your life right now that God did not send. They were allowed for a season, but the season has ended. And yet you hold on, hoping they will change, praying that they will become better. But God is not asking you to fix them. God is asking you to protect what He placed inside you. Some of you are exhausted not because of your journey, but because of the company you've allowed on the road. Evil people drain your energy, they manipulate your kindness, they twist your love into a weapon, and if you are not vigilant, they will rewrite your identity. But hear this with clarity: God did not call you to carry what He did not assign. He did not call you to be the savior of someone who refuses to change. Evil people play on your empathy, but God calls you to walk in discernment. Mercy does not mean blindness. Kindness does not mean self-betrayal. You can forgive someone and still walk away. You can pray for someone and still guard your soul. There comes a point in your journey with God where peace becomes a standard, not a luxury. You must protect your peace like your life depends on it, because spiritually it does. God is not glorified when you are bound to relationships that choke your purpose. God is not honored when you sacrifice your joy to entertain dysfunction. Evil people do not come with horns, they come with charm. They come with persuasive words. They come with gifts, promises, and smiles. But God gives you a deeper sight. He trains your spirit to feel what your eyes cannot see. When someone's presence consistently drains you, frustrates you, or confuses you, pay attention. God is speaking through that unrest. Evil often shows up in cycles. The same pain, the same argument, the same betrayal, over and over again. Because evil does not grow, it loops. It feeds on repetition. And every time you allow it back, it gets stronger. But God is a God of forward movement. He breaks cycles. He releases you from loops. When God begins to grow you, you will notice that some relationships can no longer keep up. That's not cruelty. You're not better than them, but you're not called to stay stuck with them. God is shifting you, and with that shift comes separation. Some of you are crying over the loss of people who were never meant to stay, but their departure was not punishment. It was protection. God saw what you couldn't. He heard the conversations you didn't. He knew their heart while you only saw their face. So He allowed them to walk away. He allowed the betrayal. He allowed the silence. And though it hurt, it saved you. You would have stayed longer. You would have poured out more. You would have lost yourself trying to hold on to someone who was sent to destroy you. But God in His mercy removed them. And now you're being called to wisdom. Evil doesn't always come loudly. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it flatters. Sometimes it blends in. And that's why you must stay close to God. Because when your ears are tuned to His voice, you'll sense the danger before the storm arrives. God doesn't just protect with His hand. He protects with revelation. He shows you. He warns you. He gives you unease that won't go away. And your job is not to argue with that unease. It is to obey. There is a sacred responsibility that comes with being chosen by God. Evil targets what God treasures. If you are under constant attack, it's not because you're weak. It's because you carry something valuable, your peace, your light, your purpose. Evil seeks to extinguish it. And so God equips you with discernment. But discernment requires obedience. When God says leave, you must leave. When He says speak, you must speak. When He says protect your heart, you must shut every door to access. Evil looks for entry points through emotion, through guilt, through naivety. But when you walk in spiritual authority, you close every crack where darkness tries to slip in. Do not let sympathy become your downfall. There is a difference between compassion and compromise. God never asks you to entertain evil in the name of love. In fact, He commands you to flee from it, to resist it, to expose it. Evil grows when ignored. It thrives in silence. But when you confront it, not with rage, not with revenge, but with righteous clarity, you strip it of its power. You take your authority back. You realign with God's will. And that is when you begin to rise. There are people who smile in your presence, but mock you in your absence. People who clap when you're down and criticize when you rise. They pretend to walk with you, but they hope you fail. These are not minor flaws. These are signs. And God doesn't show you their heart so you can hate them. He shows you so you can distance yourself, refocus, and continue the journey without unnecessary burdens. Some of you are stuck, not because of your own weakness, but because of who you keep carrying. You're praying for breakthrough while God is waiting for you to let go. And understand this, not everyone who leaves your life is a loss. Some are lessons, some are liberation, and some are interruptions that God has ended. You were never called to be everyone's savior. You are called to walk with God. Evil people will make you feel guilty for choosing peace. They will accuse you of being selfish when you set boundaries. But God commands you to guard your heart, not to exhaust it. There is no spiritual reward in tolerating what God has told you to escape. Now let me tell you something that may be hard to hear. Some evil people have been in your life for years, disguised as supporters. You laughed with them, cried with them, trusted them, but your spirit always felt uneasy. That was not paranoia, that was God. And now He is calling you to align your actions with what your spirit has already known. Trust that warning, trust that tug. God's protection often comes There are people who carry curses, not because they are under attack, but because they themselves are the attackers. They walk in rebellion, they practice deceit, they move in darkness while pretending to walk in light, and when you attach yourself to them, their storm becomes your storm. Their chaos becomes your light. But God is calling you to separate, to stand apart, to choose righteousness over relationship. You cannot change what you're still attached to. You cannot be free while holding hands with bondage. Stay grounded in this truth. You are not called to save what God is trying to cut off. You are not called to comfort what God is trying to confront. Evil does not leave easily. It disguises itself, it mimics light, but the fire of God exposes all. And when that exposure comes, do not harden your heart. Do not excuse their behavior. Do not return to what you prayed to be delivered from. Move forward. Obey God, even when it's painful. When God sets you apart, it's not to punish you, it's to preserve you. He's preserving your purpose. He's preserving your purity. He's preserving your peace. And if that means walking alone for a season, so be it. Better to walk alone in the presence of God than to walk in crowds infected by evil. The crowd may be loud, but it is often lost. And God is not in the noise. He's in the stillness, the conviction, the clarity. So choose clarity. Choose obedience. Choose the narrow road where few walk, but God walks with you. There are moments in life when you must stop asking why someone betrayed you and start asking why you ignored the signs God kept sending. You must begin to trust that still, quiet discomfort that stirred in your soul long before the storm arrived. God never allows evil to stay hidden forever. No matter how well it is concealed, no matter how convincing the disguise, God will always lift the curtain. And when He does, your responsibility is not to argue with His revelation, it is to act on it. Delay is dangerous. Every moment you spend entertaining someone who serves darkness is a moment you step away from the covering of God's protection. Evil is not loud at first. It is subtle. It studies you. It waits until you're vulnerable. Evil attaches itself not to the strong version of you, but to the tired, weary, doubting version of you. And that is why God keeps telling you to stay alert, to stay spiritually awake. The greatest battles in life are not the ones fought with fists. They are fought in your mind, in your spirit, in your discernment. God equips you with the ability to sense when something is off. And when you ignore that holy discernment, you open doors you were never meant to walk through. The cost of disobedience is always greater than the temporary comfort of approval. Many evil people will enter your life not to hurt you immediately, but to gather information. They observe, they listen, they act concerned, but deep within them is a spirit of exploitation. They collect your wounds like weapons. They wait for moments of weakness to strike. That is not friendship, that is warfare. And when you see it, don't romanticize it. Don't spiritualize what is clearly destructive. God is not the author of confusion. When your peace leaves every time they enter, God is showing you something. When your clarity fades and your focus weakens, God is calling you to examine who you've allowed to sit at your table. You must understand, not everyone deserves access to your journey. God doesn't anoint you for applause. He anoints you for purpose. And some people cannot handle your anointing. Evil will always attack what it cannot control. It will try to silence what it cannot understand. But God is your defender. God is your shield. When people twist your words, when they question your motives, when they mock your growth, do not bend. Do not waste your oil proving yourself to people who were never assigned to walk with you. God will vindicate you. He will raise you up in the presence of those who thought you would fall. But He cannot elevate you until you're willing to release the people who are anchoring your soul. There are evil people who only come around when they sense breakthrough is near. They disappear during your hardship, but reappear when the blessings start flowing. Their support is seasonal and their loyalty is conditional. They only celebrate you when you are beneath them. But God does not want you to share your harvest with those who would have left you to starve in your famine. Guard your blessings, guard your time, guard your spirit. God did not bless you so that your abundance would feed the mouths of those who plotted your downfall. God blesses with wisdom, not just favor. And wisdom says, not everyone who claps for you is for you. Evil people are masters of pretending. They mimic the righteous. They speak the right phrases. They know how to play the part, but their intentions are revealed in how they treat others, especially when no one is watching. God sees behind the scenes. He sees how they act when they think no one is observing, and in due time He will make it known to you. Therefore He waits until your heart is strong enough not to fall back into what He just freed you from. That is mercy. That is protection. That is divine strategy. Do not feel guilty for letting go of what God is removing. Your destiny is too important to entertain distractions disguised as companions. Some of you are one decision away from stepping into the fullness of what God has planned. But you're still tied to someone who represents your past pain. You can't walk into the next season carrying the weight of people who were never supposed to join you there. God's plan is not hindered by their absence. It is hindered by your unwillingness to release them. Stop mourning the exit of people who never honored the God within you. Stop begging for love from hearts that are hardened by pride and poisoned by selfishness. God is trying to show you that your value is not determined by who stays. Your worth is not diminished by who cannot see it. Evil people will always try to reduce your identity to your weakest moments. But God sees your essence. God knows your heart, and He never defines you by your failures. He defines you by your faith. When evil people exit, let them go. Let them walk. Let them take their bitterness, their accusations, and their drama with them. Your peace is too precious to be contaminated. Your mind is too valuable to be occupied by confusion. When God delivers you from toxic connections, it is an act of love. It may hurt in the moment, but healing always follows obedience. And the longer you stay tied to the wrong people, the longer you delay the right doors from opening. It is time to stop hoping people will become what God already told you they are not. You've seen the signs, you've heard the warnings, you've felt the unease. Stop asking for more proof. Start walking in the wisdom God has already given you. You don't need closure, you need clarity. And clarity comes when you stop arguing with the truth and start obeying it. You don't owe everyone an explanation for your obedience. When God tells you to move, you move, even if you move alone. Evil people hate boundaries. They hate accountability. They love access but despise correction. They want your loyalty but refuse to offer respect. And God is not asking you to tolerate it. He is calling you to rise above it. You are not being difficult for demanding peace. You are not being selfish for guarding your space. You are being wise. You are honoring what God has built in you. When you protect your peace, you are protecting the voice of God that speaks in stillness. When you remove evil people, you make space for God to move freely. And hear this. Sometimes evil does not come to destroy you directly. It comes to distract you. It comes to waste your time, to pull your focus, to drain your strength. Evil knows that if it can't kill your purpose, it will try to delay it. So be alert, be intentional. Time is a gift. Your energy is sacred. Your destiny is not up for negotiation. You were created by God for something far greater than emotional chaos and spiritual warfare with people who refuse to grow. Let God lead. Let God show you who belongs. Let God sever what needs to be severed. Your peace is not up for compromise. You can walk in love and still walk away. You can be kind and still set boundaries. You can forgive and still protect your purpose. This is spiritual maturity. This is walking in alignment with God, not out of fear, not out of pride, but out of reverence for the calling He has placed on your life. And now you must confront a deeper truth. Evil does not always reside in strangers. Sometimes it lives in those closest to you. A friend, a family member, a partner. The ones you trusted the most may carry the most dangerous intentions, but just because someone has history with you doesn't mean they have a future with you. And just because someone shares your blood doesn't mean they share your spirit. When God begins to purify your path, He will not spare relationships simply because they are long-standing. What matters is not the duration of the relationship, but its direction. If someone is leading you away from God's peace, His purpose, His truth, then God is calling you to let go. You were not created to be bound by guilt. You were not created to tolerate dishonor. You were not created to carry the weight of someone else's rebellion. Evil people thrive when you sacrifice yourself for the sake of keeping the peace. But God did not place you on this earth to be a sacrifice to someone else's dysfunction. He called you to stand. He called you to discern. He called you to separate. Yes, it will be painful. Yes, it may be lonely. But God does not strip without restoring. When He removes, He replaces. When He cuts away the counterfeit, He prepares your spirit for something holy, something lasting, something that comes from Him alone. Evil people do not want the real you. They want the version of you that is easy to control. They want the version of you that stays quiet when offended, that accepts the unacceptable, that confuses suffering with humility. But God is raising you up with a voice, with vision, with strength. And when you begin to walk in that strength, evil will get uncomfortable. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. Do not dim the fire God placed in your soul just because it exposes the darkness in someone else. The light within you was never meant to blend in. It was meant to shine, to separate, to disrupt, and to reveal what has been hidden for far too long. The truth is, evil people want your light, but not your truth. They want your time, but not your transformation. They want access to your blessings without honoring the boundaries that protect your spirit. But what God is doing in you now is not just about survival. It is about sanctification. He is sanctifying your relationships. He is sanctifying your environment. He is making sure that the next season of your life is built on purity, not pretend. He is removing the unclean so that the divine can flourish. Some of you have been stuck in cycles of regret, blaming yourself for not seeing the signs sooner, wishing you had left earlier, hoping you could have changed them. But hear this now. God is not holding your past decisions against you. He is using them. He is redeeming them. He is building wisdom in you. Your discernment is sharper now. Your spirit is stronger now. Your obedience is deeper now. What tried to break you became the classroom where God taught you how to see. And now you must walk in that wisdom. You must walk with boldness. You must walk like someone who knows that peace is not a privilege. It is your spiritual inheritance. Evil never leaves voluntarily. It waits for you to become comfortable with its presence. It makes itself familiar. But God stirs up discomfort for a reason. He agitates the soul. He makes it impossible for you to rest in dysfunction. That is not a curse. It's a calling. That discomfort is divine. It's God awakening you to what your heart already knows, but your emotions are trying to avoid. And if you will honor that discomfort, if you will respond to it with obedience, your life will be set free from years of unnecessary struggle. God is not playing games with your destiny. He is not casual about the path He's prepared for you. He is serious about your calling, your peace, your purity, and your growth. And He will do whatever it takes to keep you aligned with His purpose, even if that means tearing apart relationships you thought would last forever. Let them go. Bless them in your heart, but walk forward. You are not being cruel. You are being obedient. You see, the enemy works through relationships just as much as he does through temptation. Evil people are often the channels through which the enemy whispers lies into your soul. Lies about your worth. Lies about your future. Lies about your identity. But God is silencing every lie. He is cutting through the noise. He is reminding you who you are. You are not called to confusion. You are not assigned to emotional instability. You are not created to be anyone's puppet. You are God's, and who you are must reflect who He is. Stop inviting chaos into your life and calling it loyalty. Stop excusing manipulation and calling it love. Stop enduring spiritual abuse and calling it patience. God is not glorified when you are trampled. He is glorified when you stand in truth, walk in power, and guard the temple of your spirit. Evil cannot thrive where truth is spoken. It cannot dwell where boundaries are set, and it cannot remain where God's authority is recognized. And do not be surprised when evil retaliates after you've separated from it. It will try to shame you, guilt you, isolate you. But stand firm. Your deliverance is not up for negotiation. Your peace is not up for debate. God is fighting for you, but you must walk with Him. Do not return to the very thing He delivered you from. Do not water dead plants. Do not revive what God has buried. What's behind you is behind. Now fix your eyes forward. God is calling you higher. Higher in faith, higher in discernment, higher in obedience. But you can't go higher while holding hands with those who refuse to grow. Let them go. God will send those who feed your purpose, not your pain. He will connect you with people who sharpen your spirit, not sabotage your growth. He will surround you with relationships that reflect His character, not just in words, but in action. You don't have time to entertain evil. The hour is late, the world is dark, your purpose is urgent, and God is setting you apart for such a time as this. You may not have understood the warfare, the betrayal, the isolation, but now you see. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. God was pulling you out of the grip of evil and planting your feet on holy ground. And now it's your turn to rise. Rise with courage. Rise with clarity. Rise with conviction. Because when God reveals the signs, it is not just information, it is an invitation. An invitation to be free, to be whole, and to be fully aligned with the divine will of the one who created you for more. You were not born to live in the shadows of deceit. You were not crafted by the hands of God to walk alongside those who corrupt your spirit. Evil may walk like a friend, but its footsteps carry the scent of destruction. And when God gives you eyes to see, your duty is to act. This is not the hour to be passive. This is not the time to make peace with poison. You must choose. Choose who you will allow near your soul. Choose what kind of energy you will absorb, and choose what kind of life you will live under the covering of God's truth. Evil people thrive in spaces where accountability is absent. They will avoid truth tellers, they will run from correction, they will manipulate kindness and turn softness into a trap. But God is the God of justice. He does not tolerate wickedness parading as wisdom. He will let evil run for a while, but not forever. There comes a time when God draws a line, and when He does, the masquerade ends. He exposes, He separates, He reveals the intentions that were once hidden under charm. And you must not ignore the clarity God gives you in those moments. You prayed for truth, now receive it. You prayed for guidance, now obey it. Some of you have tolerated evil because you didn't want to lose someone. But what if holding on to them is the very thing keeping you from your blessing? What if God is waiting for you to walk away before He opens the next door? You can't carry corruption into a holy place. You can't ask God for peace while entertaining those who live in turmoil. The same God who loves and forgives also commands separation from darkness, not out of pride, but out of preservation, not out of hatred, but out of holiness. Evil people resist growth. They resist reflection. They live to blame and never take responsibility. Their presence drains the life out of your spirit. You may not realize it at first, but your dreams start shrinking, your confidence fades, your voice softens, your joy becomes harder to find. That's not life, that's spiritual robbery. And God has not called you to live beneath your calling just to keep someone else comfortable in their chaos. You don't owe anyone your silence when God has filled you with wisdom. You don't owe anyone your peace when they only bring war. This world will teach you to be polite in the face of evil. It will encourage you to keep the peace at the expense of your own soul. But God calls you to something higher than politeness. He calls you to righteousness, to boldness, to discernment. There is no honor in tolerating what God detests. There is no virtue in remaining in company that suffocates the spirit God placed inside you. Some of you are fighting for relationships that are fighting against your purpose. But if God says it's time to walk away, then it's time to walk without apology, without guilt, and without hesitation. And don't be surprised when your decision to separate makes people uncomfortable. Evil hates being exposed. It will retaliate. It will try to paint you as the villain. It will call your boundaries bitterness. It will call your strength rebellion. But you must remain unmoved. God is your witness. He knows your heart. He knows the cost of your obedience, and He will honor the sacrifices you make to stay aligned with His will. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in your life will not come from prayer alone. They will come from separation. When you remove the wrong people, the right doors begin to open. When you let go of the manipulators, the confusion lifts. When you stop watering dead relationships, new ones begin to bloom. God has no shortage of blessings, but He will not pour them into containers that are leaking. He will not give you peace while you remain connected to someone who thrives on conflict. He will not give you vision while you're walking hand in hand with someone who blinds your perspective. Evil people love access. They love to know they can reach you anytime, drain you anytime, distract you anytime, but God is calling you to close the gates, to guard your heart, to limit access, not from a place of fear, but from a place of wisdom. Your time is valuable, your spirit is sacred, your presence is powerful. Not everyone deserves to be close. Not everyone should hear your plans. Not everyone should sit at your table. God is setting you apart for something higher, and with that separation comes responsibility. And when you walk away, do not look back. Do not revisit the pain. Do not rehearse the offense. Let God heal what was wounded and let Him build something new. Evil has a way of trying to return wrapped in apology, dressed in change. But God does not just ask for words, He asks for fruit. You will know them by their fruits. If their patterns have not changed, their intentions have not either. Stop falling for promises. Look for proof. And remember, just because someone regrets losing access to you doesn't mean they value you. Sometimes they only miss the control. Be unshakable in your standards, not arrogant, rooted in what God has said about you, rooted in the peace God has shown you, rooted in the path God has set before you. Because evil will always challenge your convictions. It will try to erode them slowly. But when you are grounded in truth, evil cannot manipulate you. It cannot deceive you. It cannot enter your gates unless you open them. And you must resolve today, the gates are closed, my peace is protected, my soul is guarded, my time is consecrated. God is not merely trying to rescue you from evil, He is preparing you for purpose. And part of that preparation is purification. Let Him purify your surroundings. Let Him purify your connections. Let Him remove every distraction, every trap, every snare. Trust Him even when it hurts. Trust Him even when you feel alone, because separation precedes elevation. And sometimes God must empty your life to fill it correctly. You ask for more? Now make room for it. It's time to silence every voice that does not reflect the voice of God. It's time to ignore every opinion that pulls you out of alignment. It's time to walk in your divine authority, not timid, not hesitant, but firm, bold, unwavering. Evil people depend on your indecision. They depend on your second chances. But the moment you walk in certainty, the game ends. The chain breaks. The pattern is destroyed. And now, as this message comes to a close, hear this with all the weight of heaven behind it. You do not walk alone. The path may feel narrow, the road may seem steep, but if God is with you, you lack nothing. Do not fear the silence that follows separation. Do not mourn the absence of voices that once surrounded you. What God is doing in your life is holy. He is cutting away what cannot go with you, pruning the branches so that you may bear fruit in its season. This is not punishment, it is preparation. This is not loss, it is divine realignment. You were never meant to walk in circles, to repeat cycles, to keep feeding relationships that destroy your peace. You were born to walk in light. to carry purpose, to live with fire in your bones and discernment in your soul, and that begins with courage. The courage to let go, the courage to confront truth, the courage to obey when obedience costs everything, because your soul is worth protecting, your destiny is worth preserving, your future is worth fighting for. Let today be the day you close every door that God never opened. Let today be the day you choose clarity over comfort, purpose over popularity, and peace over pleasing. You are not called to fix evil. You are called to flee from it. You are not called to carry what God is cutting. You are called to rise. Rise in wisdom, rise in strength, rise in bold obedience to the one who formed you, who sees you, who speaks to you, and who leads you into all truth. And when you rise, do not look back. Do not question what you left behind. Trust that God removes what hinders so He can release what heals. Trust that when God says no more, it is not rejection, it is protection. The signs have been shown. The veil has been lifted. Now walk forward with your eyes open, your spirit guarded, and your heart anchored in the fear and favor of God. Let this be your declaration: I will not entertain evil. I will not tolerate deception. I will not invite confusion. I will not lose myself in the shadows of manipulation. I belong to God, and where God dwells, darkness cannot remain. Where truth abides, evil must flee, and where obedience reigns, blessing follows. Walk forward, chosen one. Walk with fire, walk with faith, walk with the authority of someone who knows God is with you, and no evil can stand against that.